First of all, I want to thank all of you for volunteering your time to be a judge in the 2020 Minnesota ArcGIS online student competition. In spite of the issues related to distance learning, we had 18 high school entries, middle school entries, and we have 7 high school entries. And typically we always have more middle school entries, at least we have in the past. So what you're looking at on the screen right now is the middle school judging master. The high school one will look identical. So what you have are the entries and a slide rule on the bottom so you can move it to the right. And as you do, you come to the links. It'll take you to the item detail page, which should be the first thing that you look at for especially identifying if that's where the student put their documentation, which they should have done. And the second link is to the story map itself. And then something has changed this year at Esri. They decided to do away with the point system that we'd been using in the past. And they've instead come up with a rubric which identifies these categories of judging: clarity of purpose, the use of data by the students, their use of geographic analysis, if any, their cartography, the use of maps, the presentation effectiveness, their documentation, and then they've got some rules this year that are brand new related to the use of video and images. And then what I'm going to have you do this year, since we're not using a point system, is I'm going to ask you when you're all done to rank your top 5 entries in your division 1 through 5. The key thing is that the number 1 rank and probably number 2 rank, and hopefully maybe all 5, it's important that it align with the restrictions on the use of video. So let's just take a quick look at that. How are you going to do this judging? You will have a link to this sheet here, which gives a little outline on what do we mean by the clarity of purpose. You'll be evaluating each one as either excellent, satisfactory, or needs improvement. You'll just use an E, an S, or an N on the spreadsheet. The use of data, what that means, and specifically geographic analysis, cartography, use of base map, layers, etc. How effective do you think the presentation was? Was it told logically? Is it an easily understood story? Their documentation, have they identified where they've gotten all their information in layers? And then this is the add-on this year, the rule of compliance. The national winner will have to comply to these. I've talked to Charlie Fitzpatrick. There can be, in terms of images, no more than 2 from an outside source, like an image brought in from the internet. And then there can be up to 5 that were actually created by the authors. And that may include everything from pictures of maps or pictures that they took locally. And then if there's video, it cannot exceed 60 seconds. For a little more detail on that, you will have access to this document as well, which kind of goes over all of Esri's regulations that they want it to comply, some more detail on here. So when you get down to the image one down here in particular, the 5 images would not include screenshots of maps. So that should not count against the 5. Sometimes a student will take a screenshot image of a map because there may be issues sharing that in a story map that wouldn't allow you to open it because the layers that's being used may be premium layers, and those are not easily shared. If there are pop-ups and there are images in the pop-ups, those again do not count towards the 5. So going back then, those of you that have done this before, I don't know if you look at them all initially or you do one at a time so you get a feel for what the quality is in general. But the last thing we'd like you to do would be to add some feedback for students. I got a request last year from a teacher who particularly thought it was important that they got some feedback after spending this amount of time. I kind of say, why don't you indicate what you thought the strengths were and possible areas for improvements? And so that will be shared with the students. They won't get to look at your evaluation in terms of the letter designation for each one of these categories, or they will not know if they were in your top 5, but I will share this information with them. So if you have any questions regarding this, as you start your judging, feel free to send me an email and I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. Let's see, you're getting it on the 11th, so I need it by the 18th. And I need to send it into Esri. Okay, that's it for the video. Hopefully this is helpful and good luck. And again, we really appreciate all your efforts on the part of the kids. Thanks.